I was thinking about one of my most favorite movies the other day. You remember that movie Forrest Gump?
Oh, how could I not remember that movie, Forrest Gump? Life is like a box of chocolates.
The thing that cracked me up
boy.
is the dude started running and never stopped running. That was just amazing. And I just think about him sitting on that bench talking to that older lady, and he's just sitting there like this, real proper and funny. I mean, that movie's classic. And we have our date nights sometimes. We go to movies, right?
Yes, and we sure enjoy them. But you think about the movie stars and the lifestyle that they go through. It's kind of interesting in some of the debacles that they end up with.
Yeah, interestingly, like Tom Hanks.
Yeah, one of my favorite actors.
Did you know he had type 2 diabetes? Did that blow your mind or what? It did me. I thought, no way is type 2 diabetes affecting people in Hollywood?
Well, you and I, we talk about it all the time, how type 2 diabetes is what we call now the diseases of the affluent. So when I step back and take a look at that, it's really no surprise.
What's shocking about it is really now 1 in 2 Americans are type 2 diabetic. And if you translate that to Hollywood, what about 1 in 2 actors? Could that be true? I mean, what a sad thing, because it doesn't need to happen, does it?
Well, it absolutely does not, especially when we look at all the things that we can do to avoid it. And you look even at the medical literature, there's no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. So when you take that into the equation, and if sugar is the problem, we've got to do something about what the problem is. And that means rein it in. And we know oftentimes actors, business people, stewardesses, pilots, they live under a lot of stress. And that stress can be what leads people to a poor lifestyle, doing things that they don't normally do, eating things that they normally wouldn't do because they're living on the run.
Well, no question. I think in high performance, I know you're out there probably thinking the same thing. This is me. I'm right there. I'm busy. I'm stressed. But the idea is we really don't have to go there, do we? And this is the problem. We face it every day in the clinic. We deal with people who come in and their blood sugars are all a mess. They have these hemoglobin A1Cs that are super high, insulins that are super high. And, just like Tom Hanks, it catches them by surprise.
Well, yes, that's true. And one of the things that we always talk about, even in our own personal lives, is if you don't plan, you're planning to fail. So that's a big concept that people have to get, is in order to live this thing called a healthy lifestyle, we actually have to make plans to be successful. And that takes planning. And sometimes people feel like they just don't have the time.
Well, really, and you don't have time to not have time, in my opinion. I mean, health is your greatest wealth. When I think of, the actors, the movie stars, even the influencers you mentioned, they have to be at their top of their game. And, they make a lot of money, but they have a lot of influence. And I don't know about you, but I would think that they want to, care for themselves so they could have the influence for a longer period of time versus shortening it by these self-indulging choice-driven disease processes like type 2 diabetes. I personally don't believe type 2 diabetes should exist in any single person across the world.
Well, you only get one skin bag to live in. So if you don't plan and you don't plan time to take care of this thing, we're actually planning to fail.
Well, that's true. She always calls herself a skin bag, but I think she's an amazing, beautiful skin bag.
Maybe a dirt suit.
Really, when you think about the dirt suit, though, honestly, the body is meant to synergistically exist with the earth. And there's food here.
So cool.
Well, it's like food, right? Food.
Yeah.
That's food. Food that
Nutrients.
is really created in its original packaging and form is designed to feed us where we can extract those vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids that drive our systems. When we think about type 2 diabetes in general, those things can't cause that. So it's a disease that's caused by something other than that. And what are those things that are other than that things?
Well, we talk about those being unfoods, fruits,
Yeah,
frankenfoods, foreign foods, things that are foreign to the body. They come in boxes and packages. They have all kinds of additives and preservatives. And believe it or not, if you turn the label over, one of the top 5 ingredients every single time is going to be sugar.
Yeah.
And if sugar is the problem and it's not necessary for survival, the body can make it on its own from a little bit of protein and some other mechanisms. If it's the problem, we have to learn how to manage what we take in.
So it really boils down to paying attention to what we put in our mouth. I know a lot of people talk about border security these days. Make this your border security, right? I say, make sure you have your customs people right here to check what's coming in. But honestly, we really want to buy food and and eat food that has one ingredient. I mean, I think about that. There's some grapes there, there's orange there, the banana there, right? Those are the way things are packaged normally. Now, yeah, could there be chemicals there? Yes. But the bottom line is it's original food and its original package gives us the original state of health. And when we don't get that, we get these diseases that come up like type 2 diabetes, which really wasn't around 150 years ago, was it?
It wasn't around 150 years ago. In fact, we're actually seeing that go on the rise since that wonderful thing called the food pyramid was actually put into place.
God.
And, you and I talk about that story a lot, about the bondage of what even occurred back in Egypt with that thing called the pyramid.
Yeah, I think of what happened to Americans. You go back and look before the food pyramid. They didn't have this type 2 diabetes stuff. It was occasional. Somebody that were 80 or 90 years old, they would just get worn out in that insulin glucose reaction and just get tired. But then you started after this to see children having type 2 diabetes. Statistics are shocking right now. You look at this, like it is 1 in 3 children are predicted to be type 2 diabetic by the time they're 40 years old. And that's today's statistics. So it should not be that way. And we have lots of people we deal with that are struggling with this idea of type 2 diabetes. We can reverse it.
We absolutely can. And, the things that have changed is, of course, we go for the quick fixes. Yep. We go through the drive-thrus. We get things that are high carbohydrate that have no nutrients in them. They're just empty calories. Then we have a society that is, we call it the sitting society, and sitting is the new smoking. So if we're not moving, that is not getting blood oxygen and nutrients to our system. So how do we expect that we're going to even burn those empty calories that are coming in? And we're stressed out. We're running from 6 a.m. to almost 6 a.m. the next day, and we're not getting any sleep. So we're living this chronic place of stress. And that insulin reaction occurs under stress because of the glucose production in response to stress can lead to type 2 diabetes.
Well, it can. So if you're out there and struggling with that and you want some help, you give us a call and we'll help you get out of that mess and get you free from that wicked disease called type 2 diabetes. The body's amazing at recovery, so you want to give it every chance, no matter what time it is. So in that context, no, it's certainly never too late. You're never too old to start trying to be healthy.
No matter where you are in terms of your health, that you can turn this around.
It's never too late to start a wellness program, and it's never too late to reach your healthcare goals. There's an old adage, and I'm not sure where it came from, but I really do like it. And they say the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
We just want people to hang on to hope.
We are hope dealers. And if you are not paying attention to the 4 foundational pillars of health, physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual, eventually it is going to catch up.
If we get all those 4 areas right, and we do it right, we see a dynamic occur in the middle called wellness, and that's where people get better. Their health is really going to return as a side effect of wellness.
And when you navigate through these economies with people, here's what happens. We want to hold their hand through it, let them know when it's time to buy, sell, reallocate, get out of Dodge. Because a lot of times when you're struck with fear does 2 things. Number 1, it can paralyze, and people just put their head in the sand and say, I'm just going to forget about it and hopefully it gets better. Or it causes you to make a wrong decision. And this is why we are here, is to help people navigate through the political quagmire nonsense that's going on, the economic malaise, and the absolute collapse that we're seeing. And when our freedoms are eroding, our political freedoms, our economic freedoms, our personal freedoms, our religious freedoms, our health freedoms, they're all tied together. But you know what doesn't need to erode with that? Our finances.
KirkElliottPhD.com/Sherwood.
Can a shake transform your life?
Well, if it helps you invest in your health on a daily basis, the answer is
Yes.
consistency is key, and there's not a better, simpler way to begin your change.
That's why we offer a bunch of helpful bonuses when you subscribe to Kingdom Fuel.
Kingdom Fuel is our complete nutritional meal shake.
It's the simple start to a transformed life.
We'll auto ship every month so you don't run out.
You'll receive 2 free shaker cups, free access to our video courses, and a monthly call with us filled with practical inspiration.
Just see the link below or on your screen and subscribe today.